So David Sampson's a person who's not going to give us the takes that we want. He's not going to give us more than he's comfortable with. And so to address this take scarcity, we bring on Tom Haberstroh, who has prepared an arsenal of takes. Tom, how many takes do you got for us?
I've got 13 stats here, or rough, I don't know, somewhere around 13 stats that just like blew my mind as I'm picking up the pieces of this series, this Miami Heat upset. So yeah, I think I have like somewhere around a dozen things here.
Yes.
Baker's dozen.
In this show, we do top 5, though.
So you have 8 OLIs.
That tracks. All right, Tom. So hit us with your first stat.
Okay. In 32 minutes of fourth quarter and overtime action in the series, Jimmy Butler scored 43 points and had 1 turnover, which is the equivalent of 65 points in a 48-minute game.
Is that 3 takes or 1?
Which would be his second most impressive game of the series, I think.
In 3 days.
So there's a big stat going around about how this is like the 6th time that an 8-over-1 upset has happened. And I think that this upset is actually on par with the 2007 We Believe Warriors. And that one was the championship favorite, Dallas Mavericks, just like the Milwaukee Bucks. The difference is that Giannis was hurt for 2.5 games. And then Dirk wasn't hurt in that series. So I understand that. However, to the Heat haters out there who are pointing out the Giannis factor, I will point this out. Here's the counter. In the 91 minutes that Giannis Antetokounmpo played in this series, the Milwaukee Bucks were outscored by 16 points. And when Giannis was off the floor, they were outscored by 10 points, which means if you do the math, the Heat were better off in this series with Giannis Antetokounmpo on the floor than they were when he was on the bench.
Huh. Interesting, Tom. Interesting.
They won the series without Tyler Hero. That debate makes no sense to me.
Jeremy Taché is now high-fiving Tony, who has been thirsting
Let's go!
for that high five all goddamn
Let's
show.
go! Just slide in when he doesn't see it.
Kevin Love, we want to talk about Kevin Love for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Love, who was banished to the Cleveland Cavaliers bench.
I thought he was cooked, Tom. I thought he was out of the league, effectively.
Not me. Always believed.
This guy who was benched on a team that just got basically swept by the New York Knicks in the first round, the Cleveland Cavaliers, had no use for Kevin Love. However, in this series against the Milwaukee Bucks, Kevin Love, champion, Kevin Love, had 5 blocks in the series. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 2, which means Kevin Love has 2.5 times more blocks in this series.
Can we get?
Are you about to say that Kevin Love on the court, the Heat had a better plus-minus than with Giannis on the court? Therefore, Kevin Love, by the transitive property of crappy stats, that Kevin Love is better than Giannis?
That's what I'm saying. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
I love this man with my whole heart.
Tom, just quickly, a sidebar. It looked like the Cavs could have really used Kevin Love. They got eaten up inside. I know Kevin Love brought different things to the table and how he was used by Miami, but in retrospect, why'd they get rid of him?
Man, because they just wanted to get ruined on the boards by the Knicks. I mean, Mitchell Robinson looked like an MVP against that team because Evan Mobley just got bullied. Jared Allen got bullied. Donovan Mitchell couldn't hit a shot. I think Kevin Love could have helped the team from the shot-making department and the rebounding department. And as you saw against Giannis, like, he's really good defensively. When he lines up for a charge, he gets the foul on the opposing star, and it goes the other way. So Kevin Love, very underrated. And, of course, the Cavaliers are in Cancun, and the Heat are moving on in this series. Guys, can I ask you, do you want to hear a Bam Adebayo stat for you?
Yeah,
I think it's only fair at this point.
I can't wait.
Bam Adebayo in the fourth quarter and overtime made more jump shots last night than the entire Milwaukee Bucks team.
Jeremy is in the back right now.
Fart Bear is just erect.
Look what he's doing.
Let's
my
go! I'm
Ew.
beside
Bam.
myself. I love you, Tom.
Bam was 3 for 7 on
Standing
jumpers outside of 10 feet, and the Milwaukee Bucks were 2 for 16. 2 for 16. Okay.
You know
When we talk about upsets in playoff history, we're talking about the Miami Heat, who, yeah, they were gifted in some sense that Giannis was out for a couple games. But did you know that in this series, the Miami Heat were underdogs for all 5 games, including in Game 5? They were 13-point underdogs. 13-point underdogs. And the Heat won 4 out of those 5. The only time that I could find that a team was a 13-point underdog or larger in the playoffs since 1995 while being up in a series and winning, the Miami Heat last night. Miami Heat last night, 13-point underdogs. We've only seen it 51 times in the playoffs since 1994, which is, 1.5 times every postseason. This is insane. The fact that this Miami Heat team, after what they did in the first 4 games of the series, were 13-point underdogs, basically the same spread as we saw from the Atlanta Hawks without DeJounte Murray playing against the Boston Celtics the other night.
Tom, is this
The odds
season
were the same.
Is this season a failure if they don't beat the Knicks?
Is this season? No, they just knocked off Giannis Antetokounmpo and Drew Holiday, who a few days ago, Drew Holiday was named by the players, by the NBA peers, as the most underrated player in the NBA, the best defender in the NBA. And Jimmy Butler just absolutely shredded him. So this is a guy, Drew Holiday. Yes, they didn't have Giannis for a couple games, but Drew Holiday has the utmost respect from his peers as a defender.
Yes, I've been trying
as
to
underrated.
say this.
But I'm asking a different
incredible.
question, Pablo.
But you're saying, is any of this going to carry over as soon as the calendar flips over to the next series?
That's all I'm asking. Very simply, that if they do not beat the Knicks, all of this excitement, does it get bottled up and saved over the offseason, or is it another ringless year for Jimmy Butler?
A ringless year for Jimmy Butler? Is that what you're going
I feel like
here,
Tom
Dave?
has like 10 more stats to go, so maybe those stats will give us a window into how we should feel.
They'll cover that next on Undisputed, David. Next stat, Tom.
In 2019, when Jimmy Butler was traded to the Miami Heat for the great Josh Richardson, the top 3 Heat box score performances in playoff history, those 3 performances were held by LeBron James. The Game 6, Boston Game 6, that now ranks 11th.
What?
Nah, no, it doesn't. No, how? By what
Jimmy
measurement?
Butler is how.
But
Jimmy Butler
get out of
is
here.
how.
That was the whole world was on his shoulders. That was in the Eastern Conference. That was facing elimination. What? No, I refuse.
This is
11.
This is
11, maybe 3.
This is game score. It's a PER one-game metric on stathead.com. When Jimmy Butler was traded here, LeBron James had number 1, number 2, and number 3. Dwayne Wade had number 4. Dwayne Wade now ranks his best performance in the playoffs in a Heat uniform, now ranks 12th.
No, here's the game score. First round. Okay, that was the first round. Let's relax. Context matters.
I'm talking history, Mike, history of Jimmy Butler.
I'm talking
in
first
the
round
Miami
versus
uniform.
facing elimination and the entire blueprint blowing up and NBA Finals games, which may have been rigged by Tim Donaghy.
And
Stop it.
championships.
Yeah, just come on. First round.
The next stat.
The next stat, not a single ESPN panelist picked the Heat in this series. And in fact, not a single person picked Bucks in 7. Not even Bucks in 7.
We got this one wrong, guys. I think we might have got this series wrong.
Yeah, don't say we.
It's him.
I mean, it's Jeremy and Ryan.
You guys got it
Oh,
right.
I thought you
and
meant
Tony, I
Pablo
forgot,
and what
yeah.
he does for a living other than this.
The royal
The
me.
royal we. Tom, you got more? Is it possible? More ways to show how Jimmy Butler's the greatest player to ever play in the history of the NBA?
Calm down, Jalen Brunson.
All right, ready for this one?
hate
This is my
Jalen
last
Brunson.
one.
Ooh.
This is my last one I have
Ooh.
here.
Ooh. I've been edging
okay,
towards
ready?
this entire time.
We've been ramping up for this one stat, which I think is the best one of them all. Mike Budenholzer has 3 unused timeouts currently.
Well, there you have it.
Oh.
If not for that, the Bucks would still be playing.
How
Do
do
you think?
do that?
Do you think
It's
he's
45
gonna?
seconds
do you,
left.
Do you think Budenholzer's gonna wake up from like a midday nap on his couch and call a timeout?
No, doesn't regret it.
I don't think
at
he
all.
is. He doesn't make adjustments. He doesn't. I mean, Drew Holiday was totally gassed. Jimmy Butler was in his head. It was just like they were playing. I've never seen a player of Giannis Antetokounmpo's stature in post game very nicely and graciously call out his coach for not making adjustments. Giannis might be the nicest guy at the podium we've ever seen of an MVP, but he said many things in that last night's press conference that just raised my eyebrows about how much he was calling out the coach and the lack of adjustments, how tired Drew Holiday was, how they didn't throw different actions at Jimmy Butler, that they weren't doubling Jimmy Butler. They took Brook Lopez out of a game in which they needed a very tall person to block the rim. And then Jimmy Butler just had that layup right at the rim.
I want to ask you very quickly, because we have about 50 seconds left, why they took Brook Lopez out of the game. Was it the adjustment from Spoelstra to start initiating offense with Bam? Because it looked like Milwaukee had no answers defensively, and that might have been why we saw no Brook Lopez.
Yeah, I think once Spo took out Bam, then I think Coach Bud had the reaction of like, all right, well, if Bam's out, I'm going to take out Brook Lopez. But then you have Pat Connaughton in the paint, the only rim protector that they had, and Jimmy Butler did this one-handed alley-oop thing, which is just insane. So
pushed off.
Eric Spoelstra, if not the best coach of all time, proved it in this series. He is one of the GOAT coaches in NBA history.
Filipino.
Goaches.
Go Heat.
We'll get to your Knicks in a little bit.